Good afternoon. I am Andrea Boone, Chair of the Public Safety Committee. I am joined today by the Honorable Matt Westmoreland and the Honorable Mary Norwood. We do not have a quorum at this moment, but we should have one shortly. At this time, we will take our public comment. First speaker, J. Wesley Day.
Wow, caught me off guard. I wasn't ready that quick.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is J. Wesley Day. I rise from the great city of Chicago, Illinois. I moved here in 2010, and I was beaten in 2018 at the Joystick Game Bar. I nearly lost my life. My mom had 6 boys, 2 murdered, and 1 drowned. She almost lost a 4th on that day. And since that injustice, no one has been charged with the crime. Instead, Keith Gamage charged me with affray, which is a misdemeanor, fighting in public. Although I had captured my assailants on video camera taunting me with homophobic slurs and epithets, slapping me, beating me, no one has been convicted over 5 years later. But guess what? Not only did Keith Gamage charge me with the fray, Keith Gamage escalated that affray charge for recommendation of a felony to Fonnie Willis' office. How does that make sense? Again, my assailants are on camera. I'm seen as the non-aggressor. I said nothing, and they're swinging on me, taunting me, calling me fags and sissies. How did I get charged? How did that charge get escalated? As a result, I lost my job with Delta Airlines. Why? Because I reported Ms. Norwood, whom I voted for mayor over Keisha Lance Bottoms. I told Delta Airlines I had a pending misdemeanor. Delta Airlines came back and said, you misled us, you lied to us, you have a pending felony. Isn't that an injustice? As a citizen, no one came and told me that my charge had been upgraded to a felony. How does any of this make sense? Do you see this as an injustice? Or do no one care because I'm a black man? Or because I'm not white? Or because I'm not rich? As a result, my son had to leave the University of Wisconsin because I could no longer pay his tuition. Now you have another black man, perhaps now getting in trouble as he has. Thank you for your time today. Justice, please do something. Assist me, help me. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Henri Jordan.
Giving honor to the Spirit of God, everyone that's here. Therefore, being justified by faith, we have peace with God through our Lord Jesus Christ. Romans 5th chapter, 1st verse. Justified by faith because we have been justified by faith. It is Jesus' gift, not man's. When men seek to control God, he asks for death, James Grip. And the Lord God formed man of the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life. And man became a living soul. Genesis 2nd chapter 7 verse. The corporal part was the dust of the ground, which is not a symbol of the animal kingdom from which Adam evolved. And the non-corporal part was the breath of life. And oppress not the widow, nor the fatherless, the stranger, nor the poor. And let none of you imagine evil against his brother in your heart. Zechariah 7 chapter 10 verse. The breaker is come up before them. This is a reference to Israel's Messiah, Jesus, who will break down every obstacle between the people and their God. As we have therefore opportunity, let us do good unto all men, especially unto them who are the household of faith. Galatians 6 chapter 10 verse. Believers are the ministers first unto them who are of the household of faith, Christians, and second to the rest of the world. Jesus let the people know that you will fight for me. I thank God that I'm able to stand to praise his name, because we need to praise God, because we need God more than he needs us. He made us to serve him. And that's what I must do. I must fight to serve him. Even the devil fight me not to obey Jesus Christ. And I thank you for this opportunity, because we're living in the last days. I heard a prophecy about in 2024 might be World War III. Christ asked us to get prepared for it. When you put me on a job, on your job, which God told me I can't work because I have to prepare for God's wrath upon the people. And he said, if I work a job, I won't have the time, nor the power or the strength to help you when it's time for that problem to come. But he give you a chance to warn you before it comes. He lets you know God is not an unjust God. We got to prepare.
Thank you. At this time, we will have a brief report from the Atlanta Police Department. Atlanta Police Department, please.
Madam Chair, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I'm actually here on behalf of my assignment in code enforcement. I was not notified of my duties to report out today, but is there anything that I can address or answer on behalf of the police department?
No, we will call the chief. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much. Next, the Department of Law.
Good evening, how are you?
Good evening.
Or afternoon, I should say. So I'll keep it very high level this week, excuse me. Right now, the agency or the department is seeing a 9% increase overall, but I would say that the zones are working really hard to make sure that by the end of the year, we get that down. Zone 1, 2, 3, and 4 are trending downward on the 28-day. In Zone 5, we know that they've seen an increase in their theft from autos. I don't see Councilmember Lewis here today, but I did have information for him in reference to how many vehicles were assigned to the different zones. And those vehicles include as follows. Zone 1 has 8 officers assigned with take-home vehicles. Zone 2 has 15. Zone 3, 14. Zone 4 has 3, Zone 5 has 14, Zone 6 has 8, and then our tactical field officers, some of them may reside outside of the city, they have 33 total vehicles. And so that's a total right now of 95 vehicles that are assigned to officers to take home. I do want to bring to note, over this past week, we did have, thanks to our community partners, our officers were able to serve at least 3 search warrants for narcotics as it relates to, again, our partnership with the community. And so we saw 3 residents in particular where the community members called in tips to Crime Stoppers as well as to our narcotics division. We saw on Oak Knoll, we were able to recover 3.44 pounds of marijuana, 211 10-millimeter rounds, $1,252 in cash, and then there was another weapon recovered. Then there was also 486 Arthur Street in Zone 3. They had 1.22 grams of MDMA, 138 grams of mushrooms, 16 grams of meth, 3.6 pounds of marijuana, 15.25 grams of oxycodone pills, 2 guns, a bottle of promethazine, and $10,123 in U.S. currency. And then we also had one in Zone 2, which was 3407 Noble Creek, and that one had 8 guns recovered from that location, 35.93 pounds of marijuana, 850 grams of moon rock, 1.2 grams of M30 pills. They had several containers of THC wax and other marijuana. So this is just a brief example of our partnership with the community, how the community has zero tolerance for this type of activity in their community and helps us to prosecute these types of cases. I also want to bring the note, and this is my last thing, I promise. There will be a St. Patrick's Day parade this weekend. It will affect Peachtree and 4th up to Peachtree and 15th. They have about 189 elements. The closures will start at 11:15 a.m. The parade will start at 12 p.m., and then we are hoping to have the streets back open by 2 p.m. that afternoon. And I'll take any questions you have.
Do we have any questions from the body? So in Zone 4, there is an issue on Lyndhurst Drive with the Bull store. At some point there, we placed a temporary camera there, and we would like to explore getting that camera again. And do you have any information on the collaboration with the Georgia State Police and the APD?
Yes, ma'am. So over time, the Georgia State University, we continuously work together and have been working together quite some time, have a great partnership with their chiefs. We do several details throughout the year. Their crime suppression unit are spot on with our crime suppression units. We're able to support them in whatever way they need it, and vice versa. So very, a lot of collaborative efforts are ongoing with GSU.
Thank you very much. Thank you. And now the Department of Law quarterly update.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the committee, members of the public. I'm Nina Hickson, City Attorney, City of Atlanta. And again, I have the honor of presenting the quarterly report. This will cover quarter 2 of fiscal year 24, which dates are October 1st, 2023 through December 31st, 2023. We can move to slide number 4. I'd like to start with a few highlights. We've got 3 of our employees who have been selected to participate in the International City County Management Association Leadership Development course. They are Eric Williams, who's a senior investigator with our claims unit, Mayshire Bailey, who's our director of finance, and Alicia Williams, who is litigation case manager. We believe that part of working in public service is the opportunity to grow and develop professionally. And so this will be an opportunity for these 3 individuals to enhance their leadership skills and to bring those to the benefit of the city of Atlanta. Our metrics are going to be found in slides 5 through 27, but we will start with slide number 6. Where we focus on our litigation division. Our metrics during that particular quarter indicate that we had 760 open matters. 582 of those matters are being handled internally, with 178 being handled by outside counsel. During this quarter, we had 271 matters opened and 80 matters closed. While we're talking about litigation, let me take a moment to welcome back Torrey Smith. He has rejoined us and has come back as our Deputy City Attorney for litigation purposes. So, Mr. Smith, we're glad to have him back. And the Claims Division, which reports to him, will be reporting a little later in our discussion. Moving to slide number 7. These are the metrics related to our contracts team, which is part of our business services division. During the second quarter of fiscal year 24, there were some 461 matters that they've handled. The high users of this particular team were the Department of Procurement with some 271 contracts, and then the Department of Grants and Community Development with 74 matters. Moving on to slide number 8, which talks about our real estate team. Our real estate team had some 412 matters that it handled during this particular quarter, to include 42 legal opinions, 62 legislative items, 42 leases, licenses, and agreements. Moving to slide number 9. This is our municipal government governance team, which again falls under our Business Services Division, who handled a total of 742 matters during that quarter, to include 150 either pieces of advice or legal research that they did, as well as 21 IGAs, MOUs, and other agreements that they prepared. The largest user under that department being the public safety, finance, and executive offices. Moving to slide 10, our labor and employment team had some 89 matters that they handled in a variety of areas, including Americans with Disabilities Act, EEOC, Fair Labor Standards, Title VII, legislative review, and policy review. Moving to let's go to slide 13, where we focus on watershed. Slide 13, we're talking about the sustainability office only, where we provided assistance in applying for $250 million in grants and handled some 9 energy efficiency matters. Moving to slide 14 under watershed. This is Department of Watershed and its related boards. We handled some 67 legislative actions, 53 billing and collection matters, 43 sewer, 43 site development, 53 storm water, 22 drinking water matters. Moving to slide 15, the riparian buffer technical panel held some 4 hearings for a total of 7 hours and 25 minutes among the activities in which they engaged. Moving to slide 17, our transportation, public works, and SAVE, which comes under operations, handled some 110 legislative items, as well as 280 other matters to include advice and counsel, stakeholder meetings, and providing training. Under slide 18, the airport legal division handled some 1,238 matters to include 222 contracts, either drafting or revisions, providing some 277 pieces of legal advice and counsel, and review and completion of 67 pieces of legislation. We move to slide 20, where we talk about our revenue cost recovery. Some 194 claims for payment totaling over $1 million were filed. During the same period, we collected $350,000. However, the amount of collection does not include the amounts that were collected by the tax commissioner for delinquent solid waste or ad valorem taxes. Moving to slide 22. Our claims division, and again, they will present in a little more detail later. We had some 1,147 pending claims during the second quarter, fiscal year 24. We received 345 claims during that period and resolved some 261 claims. Moving to slide 23, for quarter 2, under our litigation, we had demands in the amount of $2.8 million. We paid out $841,000 in litigation settlements during that time. Also during that time, we had claims demands in the amount of $1.3 million, paying some $458,000 during that time. Slide 24 is a compilation of the first and second quarters, where in total we had a demand for $8,240,000 in litigation. We paid some $3,187,000, with the largest being a case involving an accident resulting from a high-speed chase where some innocent bystanders ended up being injured up to the point of having to have amputation of limbs. And so we ended up having to pay $1.4 million in that particular litigation. as relates to claims demands for the second quarter, we had a total of $9 million in demands. We paid out $716,000 to include 89% of that is about 10 auto accidents falling under APD. Slide 27. It's a summary of our outside counsel spending during this particular quarter. When compared to last year, this time we've seen a 19% increase. Under airport, we had a 32% increase based on an employment case. In watershed, we had a 34% increase based on EPA stipulated penalties matter, where we've been able to resolve everything but the penalty. And there was a hearing this morning, but I haven't gotten the report on that. I'm not sure what has happened, but the EPA was, in addition to the matter, the Hortense Place matter, which involved this EPA stipulated penalty, they wanted to assess some $500,000 in penalties, which we have been attempting to resolve for less than that amount. Finally, the general fund, we had a 15% increase in outside counsel expenses, largely attributable to litigation in connection with the Atlanta Public Safety Training Center. The remaining of the pages in the report are more details. And if anybody who has not gotten a report is interested in receiving this report electronically, you can reach out to the Law Department through lawdepartment@atlantaga.gov, and we'll be happy to provide that report to you. At this time, I'd like to present our claims unit, which is being led by Joshua Foster, who's an attorney. He's a local Atlanta native, graduate of Morehouse, Howard University Law School, Westminster Schools, and he's also a resident of the city of Atlanta. So Joshua, if you'll come and introduce your team.
Thank you, City Attorney Hickson. Good afternoon, Chair and council members. My name is Joshua Foster. I am a supervisory senior attorney with the Department of Law, and I supervise the claims division along with claims manager Gwen Burns. I believe we have a slide. Thank you. We can go to the next slide. I'd like to introduce our team, beginning with our Deputy City Attorney, Tori Smith, who has 12 years of service to the city. Then our Claims Manager, Gwen Burns, who has 29 years of service to the city. Moving along to our investigators, Senior Investigator Eric Williams, who was just promoted to Claims Special Advisor, has 5 years of service to the city. Senior Investigator John Woods also has 5 years of service to the city. Investigator Shirey Singleton has 4 years of service to the city. Investigator Imani Jones has 2 years of service to the city. Investigator Phalathia Peterson-Reed has 10 years of service to the city. Claims Assistant Naja Webb has 1 year of service to the city. And finally, Claims Assistant Latanya White Allen has 1 year of service to the city. The Claims Division within the Department of Law receives and investigates all tort claims filed against the city of Atlanta in accordance with OCGA Section 36-33-5, better known as the Antietam Statute. The code requires claimants to provide the city with notice and the opportunity to investigate their claims before filing suit. Going to some metrics, for the first half of fiscal year 2024, the claims team has received 597 new claims matters. That represents 253 claims for Q1 and 344 claims for Q2. The increase between Q1 and Q2 has been typical over the years, as we usually see a slight uptick in claims in the fall months. On your screen are the 8 most common types of claims in fiscal year 2024, with those being auto accidents, potholes, floodings, sidewalk hazards, metal plates, fallen trees, construction cuts, and water main leaks. These also represent the most typical types of claims we hear year over year. The claims division closed 479 claims in the first half of fiscal year 2024, that being 220 claims in Q1 and 259 claims in Q2. I want to applaud the team for their successes, as we were able to sustain a high closure rate while being a man down. Our very own Shirey Singleton was on military leave and serving in the Middle East through both quarters, and we welcomed Shirey back in mid-November, and we thank her for her service. If you ever have any questions about the claims, specific claims, please reach out to us at lawclaims@atlantagA.gov or by phone at 404-546-4195. And feel free to contact Gwen Burns or myself directly. Our contacts are in the global address book. Thank you.
Madam
Thank
Chair,
you.
before he leaves, could I ask if I could have the whole team to stand? I really want them
Absolutely.
to be acknowledged.
Thank you all so
They
much for
are-
your service. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And Madam City Attorney, I do want to commend you all for the time frame that it is taking for the claims to be settled. They have been much, much quicker. So the citizens do appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, team. They work very hard, and
Yes.
they're our front facers
Yes.
and have to deal with
Yes.
the public.
Yes.
And sometimes people are not very happy with them.
Yes.
But they maintain their
Yeah.
poise and grace, and I really am appreciative.
Well, I am appreciative of the constituent services that you all have been taking on and the questions, and we've been getting great results, especially on the claims. Again, thank you all so much, and a well-done report.
Can I just add, we will be having our 10th Continuing Legal Education Seminar on next Friday, March the 22nd, starting at 8:30 to 5 here. We've been doing it for 10 years. It's where the attorneys in the city can get their continuing legal education hours to maintain their bar membership in the State Bar of Georgia. We extend invitations to others who are not in the city law department, but who may have law degrees and need to, and their bar membership and need to keep up with that. And so we'd encourage you to come. We're going to have just a wonderful agenda to include folks such as Mr. Rodney Strong, who was here back during the Jackson administration. We think it's important for folks to understand Atlanta's reputation as a city that is big on equality, and he'll be able to provide that kind of historic information, as well as to talk about what has to be done in order for us to stay that way. I'd also direct your attention to our social media. My team has had to drag me kicking and screaming into social media world, but we do have a presence on Instagram, Facebook. This month, we are featuring, as a part of Women's History Month, women who have been city attorneys for the city of Atlanta, starting with the Honorable Marva Jones Brooks. So I'd encourage you to direct your attention to that. And thank you for the opportunity to present.
Thank you, team. Thank you. We've been joined by the Honorable Michael Julian Bond, and now we will hear from the Department of Corrections. Chief Elder Dancy.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, other distinguished council members. Thank you for this opportunity. Again, I'm Interim Chief Elder Dancy for the Department of Corrections. And before I begin, Madam Chair, I know I've done it in person, but I just want to personally, publicly say congratulations on your new position. And thanks to this committee for all your support over the years, and we look forward to a great 2024. So we'll begin with our mission and vision statement, as we always do, as we try to highlight our obligation to our stakeholders and make sure that we are aligned with the mayor's mission. The City of Atlanta Department of Correction vision is to protect the public while striving for excellence through exemplary customer service and promoting community involvement. The mission is to provide a safe and secure correctional environment, enhance public safety through partnerships with the community and law enforcement. And as we move to the next slide, we will begin with our employment and attrition numbers. Like most departments, hiring and retention have been challenging for us, but as of late, we have seen some improvement. According to this slide, for the second quarter, October, November, and December, we onboarded 8 sworn employees and 4 civilians. We lost 7 sworn and 1 civilian. And that's pretty much been the trend for us for this past quarter, but we have seen some improvement this quarter thanks to our career development team led by Director Williams and our relationship with HR. They have created some hiring strategies that have improve our onboarding numbers and attrition numbers. So I want to thank Commissioner Smith and her team, Director Pendleton, for that. As you can see, in October, our sworn numbers were 105, November 106, and 108 in December. As of today, we are at 115. And also in the pipeline, just for this month alone, we have 7 that signed off on an offer letter for Thursday and 2 additional for the next hiring date. So again, we have seen significant improvement, and we are very appreciative to those departments who have been working hard to ensure that. Next slide. These are just some recruiting efforts that we use as we use mediums to connect with our potential candidates. Social media, of course, bilingual recruitment. We have seen, especially as we on occasion see detainees move through ACDC, there's occasional language barrier. So we've reached out to the Mayor's Office of International Affairs and Immigrant Affairs with Ms. Guzman's team, and they have been working with us to connect with bilingual candidates. So we're looking forward to that success. And then, of course, job career fairs that we coordinate with our talent acquisition team. This was a job fair, as you can see in the photo, on November 16th of last year, where we had about 60 candidates to come out and sign up for our different positions. So again, great turnout. I want to thank Ms. Lily Johnson of Talent Acquisition. We have a lot of those candidates, probably upward of about 20 that are currently in our pipeline that we're vetting. So we, again, are very appreciative of that partnership with HR. And the next slide, this is training and career development. As you can imagine, we're constantly trying to expand our training efforts to sharpen our skills and to give our team members an opportunity for career advancement and development. So these are a few training opportunities that we took advantage of during the second quarter, and we continue to train in-state and out-state with certain departments like International Association of Chiefs of Police, Georgia Association of Chiefs of Police, AJA, the American Jail Association, American Corrections Associations, and Georgia Jail Association. So we continue to connect with these partners to ensure our team have adequate training. And then pictured here to the left, this is an in-house training opportunity that our career development team moved forward in partnership with APD and the Atlanta Fire Rescue Department and the Department of Public Safety, Behavioral Health and Wellness Unit. This is led by Dr. Moore. She has been working very closely with our team. We have, like most public safety departments, have challenges with health and wellness. And with the Department of Correction, I read a national survey not too long ago which mentioned that in our field in corrections, we have the highest suicide rate than any other profession across, not just in public safety, but any other profession. So health and wellness is something that we are very serious about, and we are happy to have that partnership with Dr. Moore and the EAP team. The next slide, this is our virtual court statistics. Of course, this is something that we began during COVID. We implemented in collaboration with municipal court as we try to provide a more efficient process. This has been very helpful for us and municipal court. As you see the kiosk machine there on the right, this is where we bring the courtroom to our detainees. And the numbers are there on your left from the second quarter. In October, in custody count was 726. November of last year, 707, and December, 736. Next slide. These are our total booking numbers, as you can see from the bar chart on the left, and the total numbers on the right. Now, these numbers include Fulton and Atlanta detainees. And as you can see, the total numbers there in October for the second quarter, 1121 in October, and November 1107, and December 1223. And the average daily population, again, for both Fulton and ACDC in October 475, November 482, and December 465. The next slide. These are the top 15 charges that we see at ACDC. Most are state charges where municipal court has concurrent jurisdiction. And these numbers are a little skewed. I always explain that because some may be counted for the same arrest. For example, the second one there, DUI, which is 332 cases, may also include a no tag violation, for example, if that person was arrested for DUI and had an expired decal. So both of those charges will be counted for that arrest because they will be required to make bond for both. The next slide. And this is a Fulton County average population. As you can see the breakdown. Of course, we all are aware we started our relationship with Fulton in the second quarter of the last fiscal year 23. So we are, I think, coming up on about 14 or 15 months now with this relationship. And the numbers fluctuate slightly, but as you can see, currently we are at total 405 with 268 females and 137 males. And this was during that quarter. As of today, we checked the numbers and we are at 396. So again, those numbers fluctuate from the high 300s to the low 400s. And of course, we are only providing housing space for Fulton County as well as maintenance and repair work. They are exclusively responsible for security, their medical service, and food service. In the next slide, these are just total booking numbers, total average booking numbers for ACDC and Fulton County for the second quarter. The next slide represents the demographics breakdown of gender, race, age, and average length of stay at Fulton, with ACDC and Fulton County detainees, as you can see the breakdown there. And our average length of stay has slightly gone up. We usually see around 1 or 2 for ACDC days, but this quarter we experienced 3 days, and in Fulton County, average was 30 days for their detainees. Next slide. And these are just a few examples of our second quarter partnership. We continue our partnership with the Grady Emory Forensic Psychiatric Fellows, which provide mental health services. They come out to the jail twice a week. And this is a great opportunity for them to connect with our detainees and provide that continuum of care, that ongoing care that these detainees need for future follow-up appointments, medication, and so forth. So we are happy with this ongoing relationship we have with Emory and Grady Mental Health Team. As you can see, we connected with 86 detainees during the second quarter. And also, of course, we continue our relationship with Fulton County and the inmate work details, where we have a great partnership with the State Department of Corrections. These detainees are usually coming over to our facility at least 3 to 4 days a week. And we look forward to expanding our outside details as we approach the spring and summer months. In the next slide, these are some additional partnerships. The Viral Solution, we continue to work closely with them. They come out to do screening and vaccination for COVID. And I know we're in a different space with COVID, but we definitely, because we work in a close, confined space, we want to always remain vigilant. So we are appreciative of this ongoing partnership with the Viral Solution team, and they offer these vaccination and screening for our employees and detainees. And of course, the partnerships with APD is always ongoing. The next slide, these are our online portal numbers. And as you can see, we are steadily making progress with in-court. The electronic process has totaled a little over $373,000. Cash bonds are going to be at a little over $264,000 for a total of $638,344.90. So we are continuing to expand this opportunity, as you all know, and we appreciate council for supporting this legislation, and also our partners who work closely with us to ensure that this process moved through AIM, Municipal Court, Department of Procurement, Department of Law, Finance, and our vendors, BI2 and in-court, as well as the administration. We appreciate all the support. The Deputy Chief Johnson was the project leader on this, and we have seen a lot of success. This is giving our customers an opportunity to not just make cash bond, but to electronically and remotely make bond through this system. And they also have the option to come into the jail. We have a kiosk in our lobby and our intake area if they want to go through that process there. In the intake area, actually the detainees themselves, if they have the means, can make bond on the spot. So it's an easy, safe, and simple process for everyone. Next phase would be where we are going to connect with the bonding companies. So we'll probably try, hopefully move, with your support, move legislation through to connect with a bonding vendor to move through that phase, because most of our customers are utilizing bonding companies rather than cash bonds. So we're excited about that, and hopefully we'll be moving that soon as we continue to strive to improve customer service and efficiency. These are some strategies that we have begun to implement or completed during the second quarter. The first one, technology upgrades, which are geared towards basically safety, and we are especially thankful of Commissioner Sankey and his team for working with us on those. The initiatives, these are just a collaboration with our partners, ongoing collaborations, and then, as we mentioned earlier, recruitment, working with HR to attract quality candidates. And the next slide involves a major project that is ongoing, and we believe that this will basically create what we call a facelift at ACDC, but more importantly, it would minimize or eliminate some of the water damage that we are seeing. We have completed the roof project, and now ongoing is we have the pressure washing, painting, and waterproofing, which we believe will continue to be a cost saving with ceiling repair, walls, carpet, light fixtures, and so forth. So thanks to Dean, Commissioner Davis, and the project lead, Mr. McKnight, for their support. This should be completed somewhere around the end of May. Next slide. This is our diversion project. Of course, although all of the operational components will be separate and detached from ACDC, we are looking forward to co-locating and supporting our future partners. As you can see, the picture on the right, that was during the groundbreaking last year in March. So there have been a lot of construction work done since then, including kitchen construction, where they had to do core work to connect with the diversion center suites to our basement, which is the kitchen area where the plumbing is housed. And that was beneficial to us because not only did they replace the tile in those areas where they made the connection, but they replaced the entire second floor, which was long overdue. So we are very thankful to the diversion team, Dean, as well as Ms. Birch for assisting with that project. The next slide, these are just some outside community engagements that we are involved in, and as we continue to support our partners and the Atlanta community. This is the National Faith in Blue, which was initiated by APD, and we joined on board with Dr. Battle and her team to assist with bridging the gap with our partners and the community. And the next slide is also another community event. This is where our team joined together to support the Cancer Awareness and Domestic Violence Month of October. And of course, we had a great time at the Mayor's Senior Ball. We always are excited to support our seniors, and this is just a photo there from the second quarter event. And this is another community engagement that we were involved with Councilmember Boone, as she connected with TI for a Thanksgiving holiday food drive. And that's it. That's the end of our presentation, Madam Chair. We are available if you have any questions.
Okay, any questions from the body at this time? Councilmember Matt Westmoreland.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Chief, to you and your team. This is my first stint on this committee, and I'm looking forward to the year ahead. I think one question that might have one follow-up. At the February 19th council meeting, we passed 24-0-1063 that put into place new requirements around the hiring of off-duty officers needing to be from an agency having original jurisdiction. And so I think my two-part question is, will that impact any contracts that the department has right now? And if so, what is the plan to address that change in code?
For corrections, not APD, right?
That's right, corrections.
I don't know if it will impact. Obviously, we do have a contract that's going through procurement now, and obviously will be reviewed by the Department of Law. So we'll definitely wait for feedback for them. But our relationship, and this would be the Grady contract, our relationship at Grady currently, we have a special procurement where we are utilizing a vendor to assist with sitting on detainees, so APD will not be out of service for too long. That requirement only requires those officers to have jail certification, correction officer certification, or post certification. So I'm not sure. I think the ordinance mentioned something about arrest jurisdiction. And so these are detainees that have already been arrested. So that will not impact what we are trying to do in that space with those officers with those certain types of certification. If we need to, of course, add charges for whatever reason, we always usually partner with APD or Fulton County for assistance with that. Because at the end of the day, our officers, our correctional officers at ACDC are not certified to add charges. So they are only, their capacity is basically custody, care, and control. So that's what we were looking for in that space when we build out the scope of service for Grady Hospital.
Okay, thank you.
Chief, who has liability for the officers that are not under our purview? Who has liability?
So the contract is with a vendor who is responsible for hiring those officers with those certain certifications, right? So it's my understanding, and obviously law may opine, but it's my understanding that would be the responsibility of the contractor. And if you remember, prior to this situation, we did have a contract through Dean where they were hiring security officers. I think it was through Dynamic Security, which did not have those certifications and requirements. And I think that relationship went on for about 10 years until law highlighted that, which I agree with, and required certain changes. So now we're in a different space where we are able to, we are required to hire those officers with those certain types of certifications.
Thank you very much. I would also like to thank your team for the great work that they do weekly and monthly in the community, always willing to help with the homeless population, also with our seniors moving around in the community, also helping with those young people that need mentoring. When you all come to our town hall meetings, you all are very visible. You all have maintained a safe, clean environment for inmates, and we definitely appreciate that. So please let Chief Johnson know we miss her, and hello to everybody. Thank you very much. And when is Corrections Week?
It's the second week of May, I believe. The date is, we'll get those dates to you, and definitely get you and your team, the Public Safety Committee, and invites. And thank you for your support and the kind words as well.
Yes, we definitely want to come over again this year.
Thank you. We appreciate that.
Any more questions or concerns? The Honorable Michael Julian Bond.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Chief Dansby, for a very thorough presentation. I've just had a couple of questions. One is about going back to the hiring and recruiting, because ideally, you don't want a contractor at all at Grady. You want Atlanta correction officers at Grady. You know, is this vendor, are they trying to recruit, just like with APD, in certain circumstances, they hire off-duty APD officers? Is this vendor seeking to hire off-duty Atlanta correction officers to sit on these inmates at Grady? Because going back to my experience in corrections all the way back to 1989, when Sheriff Labat and I were officers in corrections, the number one place people escape from is Grady. Usually, a lot of times with the help of the people who work at Grady. You know, and so are they going after some off-duty Atlanta correction officers, or who are they using?
At this point, I haven't seen them engage with our Atlanta correction officers. I believe for the most part, they have been using state DOC correctional officers. But I agree, and you hit a good point. I think at some point, especially with how we are trending with our hiring numbers as of late, we have seen a positive change with those numbers. So I believe that we'll be in a very good space within the next 3 to 6 months where we could shift some of our resources as we build our team to Grady. So we're looking forward to that and to try to reduce and minimize our overtime, as you know, has been a problem over the years at ACDC. So we'll definitely continue to aggressively try to fill those vacancies and at the same time look at our resources and make those changes with personnel and staffing to increase the numbers at Grady.
Yeah, I know that you had mentioned that, I think you said you had 20 people in the pipeline?
Yes, sir. I believe a little over 20, but actually we are probably, from the offer letters, we're going to hire at least 9 and potentially 11 this month. And with this past quarter, that as I went through the presentation, we only hired 8 in 3 months. So we're going to surpass that in 1 month. And I think we've hired 7 so far when you look at January and February. So we're doubling those numbers, and that will continue with looking at the candidates that we have in the pipeline. So we are very optimistic, and so we believe that we'll be able to close that gap sometime in the near future.
How many vacancies do you have presently?
We have a total of 66. I believe 47 of those are going to be sworn.
So you got 47 sworn, and you've got about, I guess, you just said you're going to be hiring 9 within a certain period of months. Are you in? I guess with the budget coming in, you're already funded for those positions. It's just a matter of having to fill them.
Right. Most of those positions, are funded, and it's just a matter of filling them. It may even be more than that. I know there are about 5 that we are currently waiting for them to complete the medical and psych exam, for example, and that's towards the end of the process. So it's looking very good. Again, thanks to HR and their team working together with our career development and recruitment unit.
So I guess now that the state has enacted legislation that's kind of did away with the signature bond issue, so people are going to be spending a few more hours at least until they process out of our municipal jail. What is the uptick in the population for, I guess, the average person who might get arrested?
So I don't know if we can go back to.
Yeah, I missed it.
One of those slides had the numbers.
I mean, is it a steady? I guess the point of it is probably not the actual uptick, but it's a steady increase,
right,
as time is going on.
So just with our virtual court numbers, for example, in FY22 it was 1214, FY23 it was 1236, and then FY24 it jumped from 1236 to 22,169. So we have seen an increase. It's nothing that we can't accommodate, even with our staffing, but we are keeping an eye on it, and we have seen that change, especially with our regular court process daily as well. But it's not, anything that we haven't been able to handle with making adjustments to our resources.
Okay. Well, I guess one other point one other thing I'd like to ask you about is that I know that as with our own corrections department, the state corrections officers, I think they're pigeonholed with their jurisdiction, right, or their authority. And so I guess somebody should check, I don't know if it's the law department or your department, to see if they've got appropriate jurisdiction away from their assigned facility. Because that might open us up to some level of liability. But part 2 of that is if we are increasing our population as a function of the state having passed their particular law, the overtime has always been a concern. And so I want to applaud the Dickens administration for making sure that you're getting the resources to hire the people that you need. Because under the previous administration, the overtime was exacerbated because it's almost as if they had a preponderance of kind of breaking the department, not hiring anybody. And when you talk about the mental health issues and the stress that goes along with being a correction officer, that creates an increasingly dangerous position, not only for the people who are employed there, but for the people who are held there. You know, it's dangerous for everybody. And so I just want to applaud your effort in making sure that people get the counseling that they need, and thank the Dickens administration for being behind you and getting the people you need to stand shoulder to shoulder as they operate your facilities. You know?
Well, thank you for that, and I echo that. Definitely want to thank the mayor and his administration. He has made it clear that he is investing in our employees. And as I talk about the numbers, you can see how the needle is moving, not just with onboarding, but with retention as well. We are seeing that number improve. So we're definitely thankful to this administration. And we'll definitely follow up with law regarding the state detainees. We want to make sure we're on the right page. I know they, currently sit on their own detainees at Grady, but we'll definitely have them take a closer look at the jurisdictional requirements.
Yeah, because then you get into the same, I think that would probably exacerbate who's liable, right? Because if the state code addresses them in a particular way, and you understand what I'm saying? They're sitting on somebody who's not actually their inmate, and something happens to them, then, we don't want to have to deal with that, But if people can look at having our off-duty corrections officers sit on people, and maybe even retired officers sit on these individuals until you can get your staffing up, because optimum is to have our staffing level be what it should be. Because Grady, it is the easiest place on earth to abscond, because you have sympathetic nurses, sympathetic doctors. People were, in my experience, were escaping all the time because people would complain about the shackle or their handcuff being loose, and the next thing you know, they're in the wind. They're gone,
Yes. And it's an open campus.
Right, it's an open campus, and they're out of there. So it's an important, it's important.
Yes, sir.
Okay, but we miss you at HelloFresh. We need you to make sure your folks come
Yes,
back.
they are here and listening, and we definitely appreciate that partnership, and we will be back. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Thanks
we're
for
coming
that.
up on we've surpassed the 1 million meals served in Atlanta mark, and you all were a part of that. So we want to continue to see you as often as you can, and we appreciate being outside. But I don't want to belabor it, but there's one last question I want to ask you about, because when I think about being short in the jail and in the crisis, I used to save Sheriff Labatt's life all the time in the jail. True story. But on all seriousness, the PAT program that they had, are you all looking at revising that to have, in the partnership with the state, to have people employed at the city, and then, we're helping them reentry?
We are. Deputy Chief Johnson and her team are in charge of that project. They have reached out to our DOC partners. We've had a couple of meetings with them, as well as DPW Watershed. So we want to reconnect and rekindle that relationship. I think it's huge, especially, as you know, for those detainees that are coming back home to the city of Atlanta, for them to be employed and have an income, and a place to stay, I think is huge for the city. So we're going to continue to work to try to build that relationship again. Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Chief. Also, I don't know if you all remember an Officer Taylor that used to come out every Saturday with a big blue bus with inmates, and they would go to different communities and clean. That is something also we would love to see come back on some scale. They used to go to all the council districts and assist with cleaning up. That would be great if you all will look back into that.
We will definitely look into it. And
Thank
we
you.
definitely plan to expand that this spring and summer, working in your districts with code enforcement and DPW.
Thank you for a great report, Chief.
Thanks.
Thank you so much. Thank you, staff. Thank you all. Adoption of the agenda. Can we have a motion to adopt the agenda? Mr. Bond, question?
Before we move into the agenda, I have a question for APD before we get into our.
They're here. APD?
Someone here from APD?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
I wanted to ask if you can give us a report on the partnership with Georgia State University around the shootings that have been going on down by where I guess it's now the old racetrack down there on Piedmont. The racetrack, of course, as everyone knows, has canceled their contract. They're going to be moving out. And I guess the hope was that the issues that have been happening at that intersection would quell, but apparently there was people that were injured just this past weekend. Can you give us an update on what efforts are ongoing there in partnership with Georgia State University, specifically GSU Police?
Yes, sir. So consistently, we do work with Georgia State University Police. We have a great partnership. We do several details with them throughout the year and have been for quite some time. In that space, the shooting that you're referring to from this past weekend, this was an individual who we have on video footage leaving from a location on Auburn Avenue. And so at this time, it appears that the victim in this case suffered from a mental illness. We see him several times. We got a report that he was at Grady earlier that day within that couple of hours. So at this time, I mean, we've canvassed that area. We're not quite sure where he was actually struck or where he got hit. We just know that he was able to flag down a Georgia State University officer who was present in that area. And that is why you see that location being highlighted again this past weekend. But again, APD and Georgia State University, they work well together with their crime suppression units, with the doing details in that specific area, and then even expanding on in the MARTA areas where they'll do Georgia State University, MARTA PD, as well as APD will capitalize on those partnerships in those spaces.
So is there going to be a heightened police presence from both agencies in that specific area, or just, well, what can people expect?
In that specific area, Georgia State University, of course, that is their area where they have a lot of their campus buildings. And so already their chief has already put several patrols in that area. But consistently, APD is constantly in that area doing directed patrols. Again, that was a testament to this past weekend when that victim walked up to that Georgia State University officer in that space.
So he wasn't necessarily injured at that location,
He was
but
not. He was not.
he went to that location.
He flagged down the officer.
Right, to flag
Yes, sir.
down help. So that's an important distinction.
Yes.
Well, that's unfortunate that an individual was injured that
Yes.
way.
Very unfortunate.
Okay. Well, I know a lot of the students in that particular area are, I guess are very concerned for their safety with Georgia State being such an urban environment. And I know the building where the racetrack is a privately owned building. It's not Georgia State's building in particular, but it's helpful to know that there's coordination going on there and that the students, the young people there can expect more of a police presence and more police visibility.
Yes, and to be clear, that presence has been there. That location has always hired off-duty officers to be in that space. Of course, the camera systems in that space were already there and available. And so there was not necessarily a lack of officer presence there in that space. We knew early on people are attracted to stores. And so We know that gas stations are normally areas that we have to conduct directed patrols in those spaces just because there's a tendency to congregate in that space where you see gas stations. And so that presence was there, but I'm sure that the students would be able to appreciate and knowing that they'll see more visibility in those spaces.
Okay. All right, well, thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Thank you, great.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, I call this meeting to order. Can we have a motion to adopt the agenda? Moved by the Honorable Michael Julian Bond, seconded by the Honorable Mary Norwood. Please open the vote.
The vote is open. The vote is closed. 4 yeas, 0 nays. The agenda has been adopted.
Can we have a motion to approve the minutes? Moved by the Honorable Matt Westmoreland, seconded by the Honorable Mary Norwood. Mr. Johnson, please open the vote.
The vote is open. The vote is closed. 4 yeas, 0 nays. The minutes have been approved.
I will make a motion to approve the favorable claims, items 1 through 10. Is there a second? Seconded by the Honorable Matt Westmoreland. Mr. Johnson, please open the vote.
Vote is open. Will everyone please vote? The vote is closed. 4 yeas, 0 nays. The favorable claims have been approved.
I will make a motion to adverse the unfavorable claims 11 through 43. Is there a second? Seconded by the Honorable Matt Westmoreland. Mr. Johnson, will you please open the vote?
The vote is open. Vote is closed. 4 yeas, 0 nays. The adverse claims motion carries. Takes us to our regular agenda, Section H, ordinance for second reading. Item number 1, 24-01104, an ordinance by Public Safety and Legal Administration Committee to waive Section 2-783H1 of the City of Atlanta Code of Ordinances to authorize the settle of all claims against the defendants in the case of Guy Spann versus Rashida Davis, civil action file number listed herein, State Court of Fulton County, Georgia, an amount of $75,000.00, authorizing the said amount to be paid from the accounts listed herein, authorizing the Chief Financial Officer to distribute the total settle amount and for other purposes.
I make a motion to approve. Is there a second? Second by the Honorable Mary Norwood. Please open the vote.
Vote is open. The vote is closed. 4 yeas, 0 nays. This item is favorable. Item number 2, 24-01109, an ordinance by Public Safety and Legal Administration Committee to retroactively renew the special procurement number listed herein, Atlanta Fire Rescue Department Online Training Management System Special Procurement Agreement to provide online annual firefighting and medical certification with contractor Target Solutions Learning LLC beginning February 6, 2024, and to authorize the mayor as need to exercise the second renewal option under this agreement on behalf of the Atlanta Fire Rescue Department for a term of 1 year, retroactively effective February 6, 2024, through February 5th, 2025, in amount not to exceed $90,995.00. All contracted work will be charged to and paid from the fund, department, organization, and account numbers listed herein and for other purposes.
I make a motion to approve this item. Is there a second? Second by the Honorable Mary Norwood. Please open the vote.
The vote is open. The vote is closed. 4 yeas, 0 nays. This item is favorable. Item number 3, 24-01116, an ordinance by Councilmember Antonio Lewis to amend Chapter 10, Article 2, Section 10-92B of the City of Atlanta Code of Ordinances so as to provide an exemption from the distance requirements listed in Section 10-88.1 for package stores licensed to sell liquor, malt beverages, and/or wine for an establishment located at 825 McDaniel Street, Southwest Atlanta, Georgia, 30310, and for other purposes. Madam Chair, the sponsor requested this item be held.
Make a motion to hold. Second by the Honorable Matt Westmoreland. Please open the vote.
The vote is open. The vote is closed. 4 yeas, 0 nays. This item is held in committee. The Section I, Resolutions, item number 4, 24R3293, a resolution by Councilmember Jason H. Winston authorizing a donation in amount not to exceed $300,000.00 from the District 2 discretionary fund account to the Atlanta Fire Rescue Foundation and for other purposes.
I make a motion to approve. Is there a second? Question, Mr. Matt Westmoreland?
Well, since I think Councilman Winston may have introduced this on behalf of Councilman Faroki, since it's coming from the District 2 discretionary, so I was going to make a motion to amend to add Amir Faroki's name. If there's a second.
Is there a second by the Honorable Matt Westmoreland? Moved by the Honorable Matt Westmoreland, seconded by the Honorable Mary Norwood. Please open the vote.
One moment. The vote is open. The vote is closed. 4 yeas, 0 nays. This item is amended.
This item has been approved as amended.
Madam Chair, we need a motion to approve as amended.
A motion to approve as amended.
Second.
Second by the Honorable Mary Norwood. Please open the vote.
The vote is open. The vote is closed. 4 yeas, 0 nays. This item is favorable as amended. Madam Chair, if there is no objection from the committee, can we take items 5 and 6 together as a block?
Yes, please.
Item number 5, 24R3343, a resolution by Public Safety and Legal Administration Committee authorizing the reemployment of City of Atlanta retiree police investigator Thomas Gilliard in the Atlanta Police Department for annual compensation not to exceed $72,259.20 pursuant to Section 3-505B of the Charter of the City of Atlanta and for other purposes. Item number 6, 24R344, a resolution by Public Safety and Legal Administration Committee authorizing the reemployment of City of Atlanta retiree Senior Police Officer Timothy Van Johnson in the Atlanta Police Department for annual compensation not to exceed $74,460.80 pursuant to Section 3-505B of the Charter of the City of Atlanta and for other purposes.
I make a motion to approve. Is there a second? Second by the Honorable Mary Norwood. Please open the vote.
The vote is open. The vote is closed. 4 yeas, 0 nays. These items are favorable. Madam Chair, we have one item coming off held. Item number 17 on page 14. May I read the caption?
Yes.
Item number 17, 23-01544, an ordinance by Councilmember Antonio Lewis to amend Chapter 10, Article 2, Sections 2-92B of the City of Atlanta Code of Ordinances so as to provide an exemption from the distance requirements listed in Section 10-88.1 for package stores licensed to sell liquor, malt beverages, and/or wine for an establishment located at 825 McDaniel Street, Southwest Atlanta, Georgia 30310, and for other purposes. This item is a duplicate item of item number 3, which was 24-01116. The sponsor requested this item be filed.
Motion to file. Seconded by the Honorable Matt Westmoreland. Please open the vote.
The vote is open. The vote is closed. 4 yeas, 0 nays. This item is filed in committee. And Madam Chair, that concludes our legislative items for today.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. We do have one announcement. Any more announcements? As a body, we attended a great tour with Chief Shearbum of the Atlanta Police Department and also Chief Roderick Smith of the Fire AFRD. We toured the homicide unit, gang unit, the Joint Operations Center, places in the fire department at the City of Atlanta Police and Fire Headquarters. It was a great experience. We would like to thank both chiefs, fire and police. Thank you very much. Any more announcements? This meeting is adjourned.